guys, look, I bought this shirt yesterday. I went out with a mask on because where I live now those are mandatory, which is good, flatten the curve. But I bought this shirt out thrifting at not Salvation Army, but the other one that's like red and white, and it is so cute. I got a couple of other things from like Forever 21, and I saw this thing from like Brandy Melville, and it was like $4, and I didn't buy it because I don't really feel like I fit the Brandy Melville vibe, which is like, you know, fat shaming, but the one piece was really cute. So anyways, let's get into today's video. Like, how cute is this? I got it for like $4. I've really been into thrifting a lot more. Like, I want to go out again, I don't know, maybe tomorrow or something, and get my car washed, but then I also want to go and get some plant things because I'm making the room over there. That used to be Steph's room, it used to be the workout room, it used to be the foster room. It's gone through many different iterations, and now it is a plant room. But I want to get some stuff for that. Anyways, God, I'm so chatty. Today we're going to be talking about some of the things that I have been watching during quarantine. And let me know what you've been watching down below. And I also want to do kind of a separate deep dive into horror movies that I've been watching because I've been watching a lot. The first thing that I have restarted watching, because I originally watched it from like mid-season 2 to season probably like halfway through 7, was The Walking Dead, and I hadn't watched anything else. And I restarted it with Jess when we were high one night, and I got obsessed. We probably started this a couple of months ago, and I've gone through like a phase where I stopped watching it and then I keep watching it, and now I'm on season 8 and I'm really excited. And I haven't watched it in a couple days, but like, I'm back in it. I'm back in the groove. I want to watch it. I love Jeffrey Dean Morgan. I love Rick Grimes. I think he's so hot. I don't know, I really like the show. I get what I thought and why I stopped watching it, because I was like, this is so fucking repetitive. They find a place and then the place isn't safe and then they have to fight for the place. And like, yeah, true, but also like, it's so much more enjoyable when you just accept that that is what it's going to be and you just watch it. Cooper and I watched this movie like a month and a half ago, Ghost Stories. So this has Martin Friedman in it in a smaller role, but it also just basically follows this guy who lives to debunk ghost stories. He lives to debunk the supernatural. There's a rational explanation, whether it be psychological, whether it be past trauma, like whatever it is, there's a explanation. And then he gets these 3 cases and he has to go and debunk them, but he can't. And I enjoyed the movie. I enjoyed the vibe of it. I even didn't mind the ending of it, which I think a couple of people were not very happy with because it seems to be kind of a cop-out. Without spoiling anything, I don't think it's necessarily a cop-out. I kind of enjoy the way that they went with that. But it wasn't scary. The first, because it's kind of broken up into like 3 different sections, like based on the investigations that he's doing. The first one for me was definitely the scariest. And then otherwise it was just kind of like, where's this gonna go, you know? So if you like something that's interesting, and like it was good, I think you'd like this. But if you want something that's just gonna keep you scared, not quite it. But there was tension. Okay, this one was really good. Have a Good Trip, Adventures in Psychedelics. I have been so interested, like ever since Chelsea Handler's docu-series where she did one on drugs, and she went to, oh god, I don't remember where she went. I want to say Thailand, but that could be wrong. And she did ayahuasca. And I have been so interested in psychedelics, like just people's stories and people's experiences and what they see. I think it's so fascinating. I've never tried any, but like I would try like mushrooms, and I would try probably like DMT or ayahuasca if I was in the right place or something like that. But more than that, I just really love hearing about people's experiences, and this was such an interesting documentary. You have all of these different celebrities talking about their trips on acid, on, I think there was an ayahuasca, I think there might have been a DMT, but there's definitely like salvia and shrooms for sure, and it was so fascinating. Like I love hearing people's like, and then this is what I saw, and then this is what I saw. And I've also been going through like a big Joe Rogan binge lately, especially the ones where he talks about his DMT trips, because I don't know what it is. I think it's just the idea that like there's things that you could see that you've never seen before, which is what a lot of people have said about DMT, where like you are almost entering this dimension that you can't access in your normal day-to-day life. And I find that so fascinating, especially from like a psychological perspective, where it's like you're unlocking a different piece of your mind. I think it's cool. And if you're into drugs or people's stories, or not even like doing drugs, but like people's stories about drugs, this was fascinating. It is on Netflix. Escape Room, not the good one. Well, the like good-er of the two words, but the shitty one that for some reason has a sequel coming out sometime soon. This one followed like 5 friends, and it was so low budget, and it was so overacty, and the escape rooms made no sense, and the character decisions made no sense. And this was a horror movie that I would say watch with friends while intoxicated and make fun of it. The Other Lamb. This followed essentially a religious cult and their cult leader, and he's like the Messiah, right? He's their God. He provides them with safety and security, and it follows, I guess, their journey, and specifically one girl's journey to discovering her place in the cult as she grows older into, I guess, an of age scenario while she's in the cult, you know? So it's a super slow burn, like super slow burn. The horror is not there. It is a tense movie, it is an interesting movie, but it is slow burn. And there's not necessarily a ton of payoff either. Like there's no jump scares. There's no real horror aspects. Like it's not, I mean, it's not even like Midsummer, which had horror in it, and it had disturbing images, and like that was very tense, and it was a really interesting movie. I wouldn't even say that had a lot of horror in it either, but this had significantly less horror aspects in it. But if you liked Netflix, The Pretty Thing That Lives in the House, I think you would like this too, because it's very slow burn. It doesn't have a lot of traditional horror in it. It's just more a deep dive into cults. The Zodiac, this came on Netflix I think last month in maybe June or May, I don't know. But first of all, very, very long movie. Very long movie. And I get it, it's a very interesting story, but oh my god, so long. Cut it down a little bit. Like just like 15 minutes. There's definitely 15 minutes of extra shit that doesn't need to be in there, and it would just like, it would make the movie feel like it wasn't so draggy at certain points. That being said, a storyline is super interesting. The actors in it, super interesting. And the way that they unfold the story over the years is really easy to follow. And it's a good movie. But it's just a tad, like 15, 20 too long. Ooh, Creep 2. Okay, I included Creep in one of my last movies that I've watched recently. And Creep 2 was still good. It was definitely still good. I actually really enjoyed it. Was it as scary as the first one? No. Because the first one, and I don't really find that one super scary, I just think that one was so fucking interesting to watch because it's so different. But this one was interesting because instead of having like a naive, really friendly cameraman coming and he doesn't know what's happening, this one follows somebody who's like not necessarily playing the games of this serial killer. So you can see a lot that he's kind of like put off, and he's kind of like, what the fuck is she doing? Like, this isn't freaking her out. So in that way it's interesting. The ending is interesting. I would recommend it. I would say watch it. It's a good movie. It's definitely good enough worth a watch, but I do think that the first one for me was better. Then I watched The Single Wives on Netflix, which I think was filmed in like 2018, and it has these 4 wives who were divorced or widowed or, you know, whatever reason their marriages were broken down, and dating expert Matthew Hussey, who dated somebody from like, what was it? That girl group. Camila Cabello, right? For a time before she started seeing Shawn Mendes, which was interesting to me, a little tidbit. I met Matthew Hesse once at VidCon actually in like 2014. Me and Tom were at the bar getting illegal drinks and we saw Matthew Hesse and I didn't know who he was at the time, but Tom did, and he was like, "Hey dude, I love your work," and he was very, very nice. But it was a very easy to binge show. Super easy to binge. It basically puts these women in these situations where they're improving their flirting and they're like being able to go up and get a man's number in public and just kind of giving them dating skills, and then it follows their relationships, and it was super easy to watch, and there wasn't like any episodes that were like, that was unnecessary and very boring and there was nothing of value here. It was just really good. I really enjoyed it. I would watch all seasons of that if there were more, which I hope that there are, I don't know. Okay, and then I watched Only, which is a pandemic movie that talks about how there's this disease that only infects women and women are dying out. And I'm so conflicted because honestly, so much of this movie was so fucking boring. But the concept was so interesting because it follows one couple throughout most of the movie and how they're in quarantine and how like this woman literally hasn't been able to leave the house in what, like a year and a half, 2 years, whatever, because they have their house set up so it is prime, you have no germs, there's no way for this disease to get in, there's hazmat suits, but all she wants is like to go outside and just like live her life until she gets taken by this disease because she's not really living, and all of the women around her are dead and it's presumed that she is definitely one of the last ones on Earth. And it's such an interesting story, but the couple that they decide to follow, you don't really give a shit about them. And it's not even that they're like super dysfunctional or anything, it's just like you don't learn about their relationship or like what they love to do really, aside from like 1 or 2 scenes. In this kind of movie, I would want to see what's happening outside, or I would want to follow like a couple of people or a group of people. I feel like movies like this, especially where it's so claustrophobic because you're in one area, you need to have different personalities interacting and you need to have like more than 2 characters in the movie. Unless it's a movie like The Room where it's like so developed and you care so much about the characters, this one just like missed the mark for me personally. But if you're bored and you're just wanting something to watch, like it'll hold your attention fine. It's a pretty short movie. They eventually do end up changing scenery a little bit. But it's all right. I'd give it like, I don't know, like a 5 out of 10. 2 more. I have got, what is this called? Patient Zero. So this had one of the Doctor Who iterations as the lead. What was his name? Matt? I think his name was Matt something. But he was the lead, and it had a couple of Game of Thrones people. It had Queen Marjorie and it had Sam in it. Are these their real names? No. But this movie was also garbage. And with, again, such a good concept. It's like there's all these people, these scientists and these army people and people who haven't been infected by this disease who are in this underground bunker, and they're trying to figure out how to cure it and what they're gonna do. But then, oh no, all these problems arise because they're testing on these people, and like, it was just, it literally felt like this movie could have been condensed into a single act and there wasn't a beginning or an end. This felt like the middle of a movie, and it, like, I am not alone with this one, okay? The reviews on Rotten Tomatoes and whatever Google reviews and other shit, like, it was not received well because it was a very underdeveloped movie. This is yet again, like, the concept is really cool, and that's it. And that's it. And that's it. And then the rest of it was just kind of thrown together. And I feel like they placed a lot of the responsibility on the main characters because there is a lot of notoriety there with at least the 2 main leads. And otherwise they were like, they'll carry it. And that's enough. Watch it now. And then the last one that I watched for the first time ever was Paranormal Activity 4. First of all, very, interesting to see the lead actress as a little baby because she has been in so many things since. She is amazing in Supernatural. She is amazing in that movie Blockers. She's been in, what's that other one that was on Netflix where the kids are in this town and the adults aren't there? She's in that. She's everywhere. Like, she's doing a fucking great job with her career, but this is her like as a little baby. And Paranormal Activity is not my taste. I never really enjoyed the movies, but she did fine in it. Like, I'm not gonna shit on her because I really like her and her work, but storyline's weird. I never really got into the Paranormal Activity storylines, but if you like it, I get it. Like, it's definitely a fun time. Turn off your brain, watch it, like all this shit unravel, but like, not for me, but I see the appeal. Oh, I also watched Losers yesterday with Cooper at his place because he hasn't got an internet set up at his house that he just bought yet, and he only has this big stack of old ass DVDs, so we're like, okay, let's watch the least shitty looking one of all these DVDs. It has Jeffrey Dean Morgan, it has Zoe Saldana, Chris Evans, Idris Elba. Like, it's got a great fucking cast. The storyline is whatever. Like, it's got such a comic book villain because this was based on a comic book, but it was entertaining. Definitely held my attention. The fight scenes were mediocre. Like, you could definitely tell that like this was how you were getting punched, you know? But otherwise, it was good enough to watch, and I would say it's a good action movie to turn your brain off and just watch it. Okay, that is it. I need to go. I'm very hungry. I'm waiting on some food to arrive because I have a full filming day ahead here, and I'm just waiting. My stomach's rumbling. I'm losing faith fast. I'm losing energy. Like, I can't do it. So I'm gonna go. I love you very much. Let me know what you watch down below. Let me know if you want more of these videos, or if you want maybe like what I did a couple months ago where it's like a watch a movie with me kind of commentary thing. But I do want to do kind of horror movies that I've watched recently because there are a lot more, and I could definitely do a part 2 here. But anyways, there's gonna be more content anyways. Okay, great stuff. I have a new try on video on Patreon if you want to check that out. I also have an OnlyFans, so if you want to check out my butt, you can check out my OnlyFans, link down below. Okay, I'm gonna go. Bye guys.